Welcome to our last DVD in our technology series, The Power of Possibilities. Today we will introduce you to a new college at the University of California, San Diego, the College of Culture, Arts, and Technology, also known as Six College. We begin with our interview of the provost, Gabriele Wienhausen. We ask her how she came to the position of provost and to share a little bit about her background.
I am a biologist by training and by education. I came 1981 to this campus to stay for 1 year and to do a sabbatical, and I never left, and I didn't leave, and maybe that is really of interest and importance. Coming from a European high school university system, I was just amazed when I came here, and to this campus especially, or maybe to California, or maybe to UC, I don't know, but the openness, the willingness to listen, to talk, the willingness to really think about new ideas, even when they were crazy, and struggle with those ideas and then say, all right, well, if you are so convinced, try it. And that is what happened here. That happened here in science, that happened here with, collaborating with people. It was just a very open and system where creativity was just the most important part. UCSD needed to create a new college, a new undergraduate college, because the growth in the undergraduate population, predicted growth, would be substantial enough to justify a new college. They recruited, and I was asked to apply, which I was foolish enough to follow, because I thought they will never want a biologist as the head of a college. And well, I became the provost, and what that means is that you are basically the CEO of a startup. What that means is that you have an incredible chance, and the chance is to rethink higher education, because a college means that you have to think holistically. You do not just think about one class. You actually have to think about, okay, there are students coming in here. Who are these students? What do I want to create for them so that when they leave here, they know certain things, or they are certain type of people. So I have to think about, who are they? How do I want them to look like when they leave? What are their needs? What can I create? And so I can create a core curriculum. I can create a general education curriculum. And I also have to think about res life, because students live on campus, at least for the first 2 years. So I have an incredible opportunity to create an environment for the students.
We then asked the provost how Six College began and what she saw as its implications for society.
He's very, very sensitive to the fact that we as a university have to understand who these students are who are coming to us. What do we need to provide them to really mature in every aspect of what makes us human? And so he feels that we are doing an experiment that will be beneficial for the university and will help the university to think and move ahead. We really are talking about, what does it mean to be an institution institution of higher education in the 21st century? What is our responsibility? How do we have to educate our students? What needs to change? Can we continue to think the way we thought about education? That was okay in 1800 and 1900. Are there changes, and how do we have to respond to this? And so again, this is a unit that has as its mandate to carefully look at this. First of all, it started with a theme of the college, and the theme of the college, Culture, Art, Technology, I think is exciting because it provides the academic intellectual background for what we want to do. Because what we want to do is we want to understand who are we as humans? What makes us human? And humans develop culture. And we want to understand, why is it that we have different cultures? What are the outside forces that make us develop certain types of culture? Why is it that then these cultures actually allow certain artistic expression, and we all have a need to express ourselves, not just with words and with writing, but there's something else that cannot be expressed in words and in writing, where we need a different medium, and that's art, and we all do this. And also cultures produce certain technologies, and then art and technology, of course, feed back to culture and moves it all along. So those three are intertwined to a degree that you cannot look at one without looking at the other. And to understand that, I think, is of critical importance for everybody living in the 21st century. We are no longer living in, in an environment where the natural forces are the ones that make us behave in a certain way or shape our life. The physical environment, the technology, is one that really challenges us day in, day out, and that makes us really created a different type of environment. So if that is true, then we as humans really need to have the skills, the resources, the intellectual background to understand, to deal with this, because we are forced to make decisions about technology and technologies that have incredible political, social, cultural, psychological implications, that if we want to deal with them in a meaningful way as responsible human beings, we have to understand technology beyond just the user level.
We then ask her what the specific goals were for Sixth College.
The goal is to help students become familiar with the technology, more than just using it, as I said, but to understand what are the underlying concepts and principles. Because what we want to graduate are students who can participate in the discussions that is going on now. How can you talk about privacy issues without understanding the concept behind the World Wide Web, the concept behind the storage of data? And so if that is true, then we need to create an environment where students experience the technology in such a way that they are willing to think about this, that they are willing to learn more about.
The provost then gave us examples of the kinds of knowledge she expected her students to gain, as well as the questions they were expected to grapple with.
One of the goals to create this digital environment is to help students understand the issues that the technology will force us to face. For example, with this technology, what I can also do is, what is reality? Okay, the question about what is reality, I think you all remember this really, when I first saw the picture, I can't tell you how touched I was. There was September 11, you saw a person standing in the World Tower, a tourist, and somebody took this picture, and this person didn't know that the airplane that would hit the tower was basically behind him. And so what you thought was that you saw a person who was a tourist on the tower, not knowing what would happen, very few seconds after this. And this picture actually, was published in newspapers, and everybody saw it, and everybody sort of, you look at this and you say, yeah, now you see fate in action, right? So it turns out that that picture was not reality. Somebody, I don't know, do you remember that picture? Somebody made this with Photoshop, and people who are, the nerds, told me right away and said, this is a fake. This was done in Photoshop. Don't you see it? And I said, no, how do you know? And they pointed out what it was. So what we want is, when you ask students to work in this medium, what you also teach them is to look at the information that you get and say, is this really real? What makes me question that this is really something that happened? So these kinds of issues, I cannot teach this in a theoretical way. The way I can teach it is by allowing students to experience this. These kids, they can take my face and they can put it on a different body, right? Or they can put it on a different body and put me in, you know, member of a party where, you know, really weird things happen, and you can actually show some of those weird things. So they can show, look at our provost. All right, so they think it's funny, they think it's kind of an artistic expression, right? But I say, you know, you invaded my privacy. My good name is now gone. So you have these, well, this is freedom of expression. No, this is not freedom of expression. You did something to me. How can you teach those issues just in the classroom? You have to allow, I'm convinced those things will happen. And then we as a community have to deal with this, and we allow students to understand these kinds of issues.
She went on to describe the new role she expected for students in this new college environment.
These students come with skills, with expectations that I probably underestimate. And I'm desperate to get them on board because they will drive what we will do next. What I have to do is I have to create an infrastructure that is flexible enough to allow and to welcome this kind of participation and push.
We then asked if there were any implications for lifelong learning in the context of this new college.
It's not just the libraries that are responsible for lifelong learning and the information. I think we as an institution, we are creating knowledge all the time. So we also have to think about students who are leaving us, are they really leaving us? And so in Sixth College, for example, our students will not be characterized by the year they are leaving. They will be characterized by the year they are coming. Because in my view, they never leave. It doesn't matter if they are physically here, right? With this technology, I'm connected all the time. So how can I create an environment where they want to come back to? What can I provide to them that is meaningful? What do they need from me? I have, as a higher education, a responsibility for the students above and beyond the 4 years they are here.
She had some interesting insights into the role of technology in improving teaching and learning.
If you use technology as a tool, not as just, you know, we have to use technology because technology is good. When you start out thinking as a teacher, I have students. Who are these students? What are their needs? What and how do I want to teach? What kind of learning community do I want to create? Then technology today provides me with a tool that allows me to really think outside the box.